Good evening. Welcome to the 2021 State of the City Address presented by Mayor Bob Courtney. My name is Mindy McGee and I am Deputy Mayor and Chief of Staff for Mayor Courtney. I wanted to take a moment to thank all of those in attendance this evening and also to those watching the event live on the city's YouTube channel. Shortly after the conclusion of tonight's event, we will also share a recorded version on the city's Facebook page as well. And now I would like to invite our community activist, veteran, and police merit board member, Dave Adams, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Mayor, Police Chief, this is quite an honor. We have a responsibility. We have a very blessed community, and it's nice to be able to say the pledge together. So join me. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dave. I'd also like to introduce some special guests we have in the audience this evening. Mr. Thomas Barclay, representing our Lieutenant Governor, Suzanne Crouch. Thank you for coming down. Mayor Joshua Marsh, Mayor of the City of Greensburg, is with us this evening. Thank you, Josh. Rick Berry, City of Madison Clerk Treasurer. Katie Rampey, President of Madison City Council. Jim Bartlett, Madison City Council. Lucy Datillo, Madison City Council. Hiding. Amanda Creech, Madison City Council. Dan Datillo, Madison City Council. Patrick Tevenall, Madison City Council. There you are. I saw you come in. I knew you were here. Gary Copeland from the Jefferson County Council is here. Mike Pittman, Jefferson County Surveyor. Thank you, Mike. Emily Roberts, Executive Director of the Madison Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you all so much for coming here this evening and of course for your continued leadership, support, and friendship as community partners. This is going to make a lot of people happy. I also want to recognize and introduce some of our department leaders that are here this evening. Mr. John Wallace, Chief of Police. Hannah Fagan, Community Relations Director. Brian Jackson, Utility Superintendent, really hiding in the back. Tony Sorrells, Street Superintendent. Nicole Schell, Director of City Planning, Preservation, and Design. Matt Worth, Director of Economic Development. Matthew Willard, Director of Parks. And Alyssa Foltz, Grant Specialist and Administrative Coordinator for the city. We are blessed with very talented leaders and staff and are grateful every day for their dedication to serving the citizens of Madison. Now I'd like to invite our wonderful Chief of Police, John Wallace, to join me and introduce our mayor.
Welcome to Mayor Bob Courtney's State of the City Address. My name is John Wallace, and I'm very honored to be the Chief of the Madison Police Department. On March 1st, 2020, I began my second stint as Chief of Madison Police. I am so fortunate to work for a mayor that fully supports his police department. I believe over the last year we have shown what a fully funded police department backed by the mayor's office looks like. Our accomplishments over the last year, which have been many, would not have been possible without the backing of this administration. They have certainly taken our department to the next level, and I thank you. Mayor Courtney led Madison through the COVID pandemic, one of the most difficult times of all of our lives. Instead of dwelling on the many negatives, our mayor found ways to keep us moving forward while still keeping the citizens safe. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce to you Madison's 36th mayor, Mr. Bob G. Courtney.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, everyone. You know, I really need to tell you a little bit of story about how Chief Wallace happens to be serving a second stint as the Chief of Police for the City of Madison. We did a nationwide search for a Chief of Police. What some administrations do when they come into office is they make political appointments, or they keep the staff who was already there. We wanted to be different. We wanted to make sure that we had the most professionally trained, because we knew how important community safety was going to be for the City of Madison. We interviewed over 60 candidates across the country. And I'll never forget the night when I went up to John's house. And we had a very professional, independent, third-party interview committee. And I'll never forget, after all of the interviews were over with, and we narrowed it down, from 65 to half of that, and then to half of that, and then we continued to narrow it down through the process of elimination. John, I'll never forget going to your house and saying, John, we've looked all across the country, and can you believe it? You are the most qualified candidate of the entire United States, living here in Madison, Indiana. And so it made me feel really good, because we went through a very intentional process, not knowing what the outcome was going to be, other than we wanted to have the most experienced, most competent, most qualified person in one of the most important positions in city government. And he's in our backyard. So it's great, and we have a fantastic team here in City Hall. And I'm also very humbled and honored to be Madison's mayor, because growing up here and living here my entire life, and I've said this before, and it is 100% true. This is a caring, giving, charitable community, and for whatever reason, this kid from Walnut Street has always benefited by the community wrapping its arms around me, and again, so blessed the fact that they have helped me be successful as a student, as a volunteer in our community, in my professional life, as a parent, now a grandparent, and then now as the mayor of City of Madison, leading Madison into the future. So thank you, Madison, and thank you for everybody being here tonight. There's not a city more beautiful than Madison, particularly in the springtime. The sun is out. Last week was Easter weekend. We had the fountain turned on. The trees are blooming. Everybody, I'm sure here, will agree that of all the places we could choose to live, we live here in Madison, Indiana, because it does offer us an exceptional quality of life. Am I right? Do we agree there? Thank you. Thank you again for coming to our first State of the City address. We wanted to do this last year, but we were planning it in February, and we thought we would do it in early March, and in early March, our plans changed, just like everybody else's did. Like the rest of our state and nation, we joined together as a community to face COVID-19, a pandemic that ushered in mass unemployment, wreaked havoc on our economy, forced restrictions on our lives and our livelihoods, resulted in lockdowns and mandates, and brought on a human toll as many families lost loved ones. But I'm proud of our city, her residents, and our perseverance. At times it felt like we were flying the plane at the same time we were trying to learn how to be its pilot. Every day was a new exercise, new information, new data to consume, new plans to make, pivoting here. But the one thing that we did that I'm really, really proud of is, and Chief alluded to this, is we leaned into it. While lots of communities across the state and across the country closed the city halls, for example, we leaned into it, and our drumbeat that we marched to here was, let's find a way. Let's not be passive, let's not take a back seat, but let's find a way, because our community deserved it. And we didn't look for the easy route. It was hard. It's really hard. It's still hard. But we always found a way. But I would also be remiss if I didn't note that our community was tested before COVID-19. The city of Madison lost a true champion of faith and community with the passing of my predecessor, Mayor Damon Welch. His loss was difficult on us all and deeply felt. But I must say the city staff and the community came together, provided a warm and helpful welcome as we began our service. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. And as we head into this year and beyond, I'm committed to honoring the legacy of Mayor Welch and finishing the work he started. Now let us get to the essence of why we're here tonight. I'd like to take this time to report on our progress. When I first ran for mayor, I campaigned on having a head for business and a heart for Madison. And that is still very, very true. I love this city and have been proud to bring a business sense in our approach to good government. As I talked with members of our community on the campaign trail, there were 3 things that I promised to work on as your mayor: improving community safety, increasing economic opportunity, and improving our quality of life and place in the city of Madison. As it relates to community safety, you saw a hint of that on our video. But I'm pleased to report our public safety initiatives are already changing the landscape in Madison. Under Chief Wallace's leadership, we formed a diversified, citizen-led public safety steering committee, which revised 13 of our standard operating procedures, including police pursuits, use of force, the implementation of wearable body cams for transparency purposes, use of de-escalation tactics, and bringing integrity into the evidence handling process. We're very proud of that accomplishment. And with unanimous city council support, we overhauled the compensation structure for our officers to focus on recruitment and retention of that valuable community resource. We've stopped the turnover, and just last weekend, as we are recruiting for another police officer for the city, we had over a dozen candidates there going through the physical fitness tests and the written tests. And that's been the trend over the last several months as we have hired new officers. We doubled our detective resources, formed the crime suppression team, which has produced tremendous results in bringing drug offenders and those that commit crimes against our children to justice. Narcotics arrests are up 17.5%, and property crime is down 16%. And perhaps you have heard of Operation Predator Net, which resulted in the arrest of 20 men alleged to have attempted to solicit minors in Madison. Our partnerships with the Jefferson County Prosecutor David Sutter and our Sheriff's Department and the Indiana State Police have taken criminals off the street and made Madison a safer community for all of us. Those who work here, live here, who visit here. And with all of that going on for us, you may have also seen that we have created the foot and bike patrols. Who better to lead Madison Police Department than Chief John Wallace, Assistant Chief Ben McKay, and their very capable captains, lieutenants, sergeants, and patrol officers. And our public safety initiatives extend beyond our police department. Led by Fire Chief Bill DeVries, Madison has a long history of an all-volunteer fire protection service. These brave men and women have battled numerous structure fires in the past year, and when they are not doing that, they are trained to be the best. I'll never forget the night that Chief DeVries talked me into suiting up. Put on the fire gear, the oxygen, the tank. Felt like it weighed about 100 pounds. And they walked me into a 900-degree inferno that's basically like a shipping container. Quite an experience. But lucky for me, that was just a drill. But for Madison and Madison's firefighters, if he practices here tonight, he's one of our firefighters, Dave Carlo, others, that's their reality. I thought I was bringing bad luck to the city for a while because it seems like the first 4 weeks I was here, there was a structure fire every single week. And I thought, man, this is really bad luck, but it did get better. They've always answered the call, and in fact, in 2020, our volunteer fire department responded to over 400 calls. They've already responded to over 100 calls this year. So, I'd like to give them a round of applause and our sincere appreciation for the men and women in our public safety. We still have a lot of goals to improve public safety because that's something that we talk about, think about, and as I'm driving around town, it seems like I've become more acutely aware of things that are going on. But we're going to create a police officer reserve program under Chief Wallace's leadership. We're also committed to build a public safety training center. So we believe that the best investment that we can make is in the community and making sure that at the foundational level, we're safe. As it relates to economic development, to improve the city, one key initiative involved moving economic development in-house, which had not been done before. We did that so we could better align the city's goals, economic development goals, with the resources already available with the City of Madison Redevelopment Commission. The result has been better organization, better planning, and better outcomes. We firmly believe that we can attract private capital when we are willing to lead with our own investment first. A great example of that is the grocery store downtown. And we'll talk a little bit about the other corridors, the blight elimination, the things that we're doing. We put our capital and leverage that capital, private capital, and that becomes an enormous investment across the community. By combining neighborhood revitalization with our economic development, we get a 1-2 punch that will bring in over $35 million in new private investment during the next couple of years. We will reinvigorate our tourism economy and put Madison on the map as Indiana's music city by partnering with the Madison Area Arts Alliance, Madison Music Movement, our local businesses, and tourism partners. And as one of our most important COVID response efforts we did through economic development, we implemented Mobilize Madison. And just one part of Mobilize Madison we're talking about tonight, just one part, was the Bringing Back Business to Business campaign, which provided financial relief to 32 businesses and helped over 230 employees in those businesses. The last initiative I'll mention is our intense focus on quality of life. That's an economic driver. That's why people want to be here. It's for tourism, for those who live here, those who work here, those who invest here. The most important investment we can ever make is in ourselves. Making Madison our focus has generated tremendous results, raised property values, grown our tourism base, and is attracting a new generation of Madisonians. We have done this by executing the largest street paving effort in Madison's history, through the resurfacing of 43 streets consisting of almost 8 miles of road surfaces just last year alone. And with our blight elimination program, through a super focused, supersized PACE program. In a little over a year, we have leveraged our own dollars to create almost $2.5 million of funding for historic preservation and elimination of blight in our neighborhoods, all without demolishing any historic contributing structure. That is almost 7 times greater than the amount of PACE funding in the community that occurred in the first 6 years of its program life. 7 times greater last year than all 6 prior years combined. This targeted revitalization effort has contributed to a 30% increase in property values downtown, according to the Indiana Association of Realtors. And along with PACE and our great team of volunteers, We have overhauled the Historic District Board review process, where over 80% of applications are now reviewed by staff, eliminating a long wait time, bringing quicker decisions that led to faster restorations, and happier homeowners and investors. If you've shopped for property downtown recently, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because the amount of property that's for sale here is going way up in value, and it's very limited in housing stock. I believe right now we probably have more realtors than we have listings. But it just goes to show when you're targeted and you're intentional, you get the outcome that you want. And if you place the resources where you really want to deliver the biggest impact for the community, it's all possible. Madison also boasts over 280 acres of parks, with activities for visitors and residents of our city to enjoy, ranging from golfing at Sunrise, swimming at Crystal Beach, fishing at Johnson Lake, camping on the riverfront, playing pickleball at the new sport courts down on the west end of town, tennis at Shaw's campus, playing basketball on one of our numerous basketball courts. We're enjoying dozens of trails and miles of golf cart passages. We are embarking on a new parks master plan that will upgrade our parks, especially our neighborhood playgrounds where our children play. They deserve modern equipment, ADA accessibility, and a basketball court that's not deteriorated. We are committed to making that happen. And with a $2 million grant from Lieutenant Governor Crouch's office in Okra, we are just months away from starting the restoration of the iconic Crystal Beach swimming pool that Nicole had mentioned too. You saw the flyover there. It's a one of a kind. Actually lifeguarded there when I was a kid. proud to be part of that history. Drive around our town and hopefully you'll agree, she's clean, safe, and beautiful. Looking to the future. Madison, I've shared with you where we have been, and now I want to update you on where we're going. You've heard me refer to clean, safe, and beautiful quite often. Proud moment as well when Mr. Mahoney's Future Problem Solvers of America class were here on Tuesday night at City Council, and they have a plan also to make Madison clean, safe, and beautiful through pollution awareness. Anyway, it is more than a hashtag. It is a 3-word mission statement that defines our administration. We have distilled it down to just 3 words that have big key initiatives behind them. When you do it that way, people get behind it. I'm really happy about that. When I was campaigning for the honor to become Madison's mayor, I was asked a question by a young attendee at the mayor's forum. He asked a very straightforward question. How will you help my generation if you become mayor? My response was simple. I will do 3 things when I become Madison's mayor. Invest, invest, and invest. We will invest in public safety. We'll invest to create economic opportunity for our youth through partnerships with our school systems, Ivy Tech and Hanover College. And we will invest to ensure that we enjoy the highest quality of life possible here in the city of Madison. So what does that entail? In addition to our public safety initiatives that we've already talked about and bolstering our police departments and training, we are building a social services strategy designed to help those most in need. It will focus on implementing chemical addiction treatment in the new jail, enhancing senior services, especially for active adults, providing resources to our veterans, helping at-risk youth, partnering with the Salvation Army for the homeless, creating housing solutions that are affordable for families, and supporting a sober living house for those needing more support with their addiction. And just this week, the city committed $150,000 of financial support to help Habitat for Humanity bring the dream of home ownership to families across our community. Working with Jefferson County Commissioners, we are sharing 50% of our public safety lit tax that will bring the aforementioned chemical addiction treatment services to the new jail. We also intend to embark on the largest infrastructure investment plan in the history of Madison. Over the next several years, we will invest $4 million in bringing new sidewalks to Clifty Drive and make much needed repairs downtown. We will lead the investment in revitalizing the Mulberry 2nd Street corridor that will include newly designed gathering spaces, parking, and a downtown grocery store that has been missing for several years now. We will develop a new Gateway Welcome Center at the entrance to the Madison Bridge, acquire property to protect our open space corridor on the riverfront, and implement economic development strategies that further support our small business and industrial base. Once retail markets improve, because this was a plan that we had a year ago that COVID halted, we will co-develop the former Hilltop shopping site. It's a 22-acre parcel of ground up on the hilltop that now serves as a big truck parking lot. We're going to co-develop that for retail and housing, and that will attract $35 million of private investment to a much-needed area. And we will invest over $15 million to upgrade Madison's historic Main Street with a focus on calming traffic, modernizing crosswalks, building new sidewalks, and improving lighting all the way to the West End. People who live on the West End now are going to feel like they belong to part of Madison, instead of having all of our infrastructure investments stop at Craigmont Street. Gina, I know that's going to make you happy right now. We're going to make the streets safe for pedestrians with disabilities. A few months ago, Minnie and I were walking down the street and having a conversation going to one of the small businesses down there, and we see a visually impaired individual crossing the street. So this road here, for the last probably 75 years, has always been a state highway. And none of the crosswalks have been modernized, particularly for pedestrians. And here is this visually impaired individual crossing 4 lanes of Main Street that's very busy. And the lights change. Right in the middle of the street. Right as he's walking across the middle of the street. I run out, grab him, puts his arm around my elbow, we walk him back to the street. He's safe. But it could have been a tragedy. We want to make sure that everybody, particularly those with disabilities, are safe and they can enjoy the city's walkability. And we're going to focus also on multimodal forms of transportation. That's a mouthful, multimodal. You know, Madison is historic, but its infrastructure doesn't have to be. And that's what we are going to reverse, are those trends. We'll finish what my predecessors started over a decade ago, and that's with additional investment in Bicentennial Park, and build a new super overlook on the riverfront through a partnership with the Riverfront Development Committee. And using business-driven decision-making, we are well on our way toward erasing deficits at Sunrise Golf Course, and that will create nearly $2 million of new capital for our parks upgrades over the next 5 years without raising a penny of property taxes. And we have already implemented a much-needed technology platform that has automated thousands of transactions that otherwise would have been processed manually. We are well on our way in bringing our Parks Department and the city operations actually into 2021. I will soon be seeking Parks Board approval to not only make much needed upgrades across the system, and particularly at JC's Park on the riverfront, but to rename the park the Mayor Damon L. Welch Park in recognition of Mayor Welch's significant contributions to the East End, but also all across the city. And finally, we've already begun the planning process to update our historic district survey, which hasn't been done since 1982. And we've also embarked on creating a city-wide sidewalk inventory and rating system that we will use to make over $1 million of sidewalk repairs across downtown and the hilltop over the next 2 years. This far exceeds the level of sidewalk improvement the city has ever made. But again, clean, safe, beautiful. Let's invest in ourselves. When we invest, others invest. The other thing is true too. The city doesn't prioritize areas, no one else will. I think clearly when we show that we're willing to lead with our capital, additional capital follows. Over the next few months, we will be planning even more investment with the $2.5 million we are receiving through the America Rescue Plan. You can be sure we'll seek bigger, better, and bolder approaches to governing our city for the highest level of impact at the lowest cost to taxpayers. Tonight I've shared some of our successes with you, talked about some of the challenges and laid out our vision for the next several years. I could spend hours talking, and I'm accused of spending hours talking quite often, about all the things that we have done during the past year to support our community, whether it was our focus on outdoor recreation, hosting safe events, supporting our small business community, or creating jobs. I hope this is crystal clear. The employees of the city of Madison are some of the most dedicated people I have ever known. And I know they truly believe in our pledge for a clean, safe, and beautiful Madison. The implementation of this vision would not be possible without the hundreds of volunteers across our community that work really hard and volunteer their time to the city to improve Madison for all of us. Many of you are here tonight, and I thank you. It would not be possible without the support from Governor Holcomb, Lieutenant Governor Crouch, and our representatives Zach Payne, Randy Fry, and Jim Lucas, State Senator Chris Garden, and Congressman Greg Pence, all of whom are committed to Madison's growth and success. We are also entering a new era of collaboration with our local government colleagues, such as Debbie Kroger and Keith Method at the Hanover Town Board, our County Commissioners Dave Bramer, Robert Little, and Ron Lee, our County Council members, as well as the Southern Indiana Regional Development Authority, placing a focus on not being just an island, but working within a region and working collaboratively. The city is greatly represented by 7 city council members: Katie Rampey, Curtis Chatham, Lucy DeTillo, Amanda Creech, Patrick Tevenall, Dan DeTillo, and Jim Bartlett. Also want to thank my family, my wife, Tammy Courtney's right over there, also known as Floma. She loves that nickname. My friends for their love and support. And I'll leave you with this final thought. It takes 2 Tammys to keep me between the guardrails. Tammy Courtney and Tammy Acosta, my executive assistant back there, both of whom are instrumental in my success and make it fun to come to work every day. And I am so honored and humbled to be your Madison's mayor, working hard with a great group of people and volunteers across the community to make Madison a better place and the city that we all dream about. Thank you for being here tonight. It's great to see so many faces. Happy to answer some questions if, Hannah, you're back there if you want to. But again, thank you guys, and I want to give you guys a round of applause. Not sure what my timing was, but I hope that was not too long. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Safe travels going home. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, but There's no doubt in my mind that the city of Madison is just an awesome place to live. And now that we're heading into spring and summer, I will also say that we are going to have a very, very robust festival season.
Yes.
Very, very robust.
Sorry, no, look pretty
Yes.
loud.
So, thank you, everybody. Take care.